hello. Here we are in Borough. It's the 19th of September 2010. My name is George Megan and I'm known in some quarters for having walked up here from the bottom of South America, which is, you can see on this badge here, 7 years, no money, and I remain alone in connecting the most southerly community in the world with the most northerly community in the whole world, which is Borough, Alaska. I was just visiting the Heritage Center and I got a copy of this proclamation, and it's from the office of the mayor. Whereas the elders of the North Slope have expressed concern over the gradual but continuing loss of our language and feel that steps must be taken to revive, maintain, perpetuate and preserve our Inupiaq language, and whereas according to a participant at the 1986 Inupiaq Language Convention, there is a wisdom, knowledge and respect in the Inupiaq language, and that by speaking English to our children we are losing those qualities inherent in the Inupiaq language and culture. And whereas a need exists for increasing the usage and appreciation of the Inupiaq language in order to establish a learning environment, i.e. school, essential for passing on the language to our younger generation. Whereas our children and grandchildren will attain a positive self-image by learning the Inupiaq values inherent to our rich and beautiful language. And whereas the Inupiaq language and culture should be preserved for future generations despite the difficulties associated with the impacts of television, heavy metal music, video games and other distractions of the Western culture. Whereas a measure need to be taken to bridge the gap that has divided our elders from our young people in the areas of language and culture. Whereas it is important to equip our young people with the skills they need to deal with being caught in the middle of two often conflicting cultures. Signed and resolved by Edward S. Ita, Mayor of the North Slope Borough. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, this is a very important document and it indicates the extreme peril that the languages are in. The international estimate is 9 years before all the languages of Alaska slip towards into extinction. Already in 2005, 5 years ago now, the Eyak language went with the last survivor, who was Chief Maori Smith-Jones. Chief Maori was designated the most important person in the entire world to pass on in that week by the world-famous Economist magazine. A professor at MIT spoke in general terms, but he spoke to the idea that the loss of Eyak is the same as the dropping of an atomic bomb on Alaska. We must try to stop any more such bombs dropping down onto these good people. The essence of language destruction is based, I believe, in the school system itself, which does not value the culture or the language of the people, and that leads to the extension of that damage to the identity of the young people between two cultures, as it says here. And we have suicide levels which are several times that of the Alaskan average, which itself is above the national average, I believe, and all kinds of other issues regarding prison and other things of this sort. Terrible social issues. These are manifest as cultural destruction does that to encourage the local people, the economic super state of the communist bloc, which failed in 1989, named East Germany, actually had the lowest level of birth rate ever experienced in that country's history, which included night and day bombing by British and American aircraft in the Second World War. The birth rate collapsed there, and in the mighty Soviet Union, which is just across the water from Alaska, the top echelon of leaders actually, a good number committed suicide because of their culture collapse. So what do? We put in an alternative for these kids, many of whom are not academic. Much of the information at school has no value to them in Borough and in the villages of Alaska, and a culture-based curriculum can do that based on physical health before all things. And we have a frightening level of ill health within the United States as a whole, where 100 million folk are expected to get that terrible malady, diabetes, and adult onset diabetes has been removed the word adult. It's now just diabetes, because it affects children of all ages, and it's also a worldwide phenomenon in the UK and Japan and other places. At any rate, I would like to support this proclamation and maintain that the only way this can be achieved is not by having language every Friday or a couple of Fridays a month or whatever it might be, which is, I think, the in fact there is a piece here that I missed there. The Mayor is calling upon all the people of the North Slope Borough to observe these days by actively speaking Inupiaq language in celebration rich heritage of the North Slope. That is the second and last Friday of each month. We're going to need it every single day, and every subject taught, which should be based on practical use of the people as well as the college entry people, has to be done every single day. And it's not difficult, it's quite simple, but the educational authorities are a monolithic bureaucracy which has no interest in such things as language and culture. And I've spent 10 years trying to get them to focus on the health of these beautiful children and their culture by extension. So in support of Mayor Itter's wonderful proclamation, I ask the people of the world and the education authorities, if I can be supported in a simple basic salary, I can be in this community or the other villages of Alaska and can set up this curriculum based on culture and health. Very easy thing to do, but it means stepping beyond the education as we have now. And I do have one of the world's top qualifications in this, which is a visa called Extraordinary Capacity, and is limited to 300 people worldwide who can lift the society. So I hope somebody picks this up. And again, my name is George Megan. You can find me on Wikipedia and George Megan on the Google and all that kind of stuff. And thank you very much.